What's up guys, it's Lee here from Bleeped Up Productions and welcome to episode 2 of Starting From Scratch, Horus Heresy. Now in the last episode I talked to you about my faction and what I've bought. This episode is going to be a little bit different because we're going to get straight into some lovely hobby content. Because let's just say this episode I build drop pods and I build my 2 Terminator squads. And we also go through the list that Dan Porter built for me, and I basically went through it with him and said I like this, this, this and this, and he said well you could do this, this, this and this, and we have a list. So you're going to be seeing that in this episode, and this episode is really going to be like hobby content more than anything. So you're going to see me building some Terminators. I'm not going to show you building drop pods because if you're watching this you already know how to build a drop pod. But yeah, by the end of this video I've talked about the lists, my Terminators will be done, and also my drop pods will be built and sprayed and ready to start painting. So without further ado, let's get straight into the first part, which is my list. Okay, so we're here for the list, and the list is a 3,000 point list that Dan Porter and myself put together. Mainly Dan, I just asked if this could happen and this could happen and this could happen. But the title of this list is called Lee's Night Lord Murder Train Fucknuts. That's right, Lee's Night Lord and Murder Train Fucknuts. And we're going to start with the HQ, because this is led by not the commander and the chief, who I love and adore, Conrad Curse, but it is actually by Savata. Now, I got this model free from the guys at Phosphex Party because I lent them my audio equipment, and this was a nice way of them, like, saying thank you, and I do appreciate it. So I got my main HQ guy. He's basically going to be taking the Rite of War, and as you can see on the screen, that's all the shenanigans is on there. And then I'm going to be having 2 champions in Terminator armor, both armed with combi bolters and a Nostraman chainglaive, because who doesn't like... That's right, who doesn't like murder sticks of hockeyness that are basically amazing for Night Lords? But anyway, we'll get straight into our troops, and I have 3 Terror Squads in 3 drop pods. And basically, they are going to be arming themselves with chainswords, Volkite chargers, crack grenades, frag grenades. These guys basically are going to be tooled to the teeth like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. Now, the main guy behind them, the headsman of these guys, is going to also have a chainglaive and a Volkite charger and melter bombs. So I'm going to have 3 of those squads, pretty much identical to what you can see on the screen right there. Now, from the troops, we're going to move straight into the elites, and I'm going to be taking 3 Apocryphes. I can't pronounce that word to save the life of me, so I do apologize. And these guys are basically your bog-standard bad boys with power swords, etc. and stuff, and they can just seem to be really solid in the list. Continuing on with our elites, I'm going to be taking 2 units of Terminators. Which, you know, they're amazing because you're probably going to see them in this episode, and they are all armed with lightning claws, except the sergeant, who is going to have a combi bolter and a chain fist and a grenade harness. Now, to round off the elite choices, I have a Contemptor Dreadnought. That's right, I absolutely love this model. This was one of the reasons why I wanted to do Night Lords, because this Dreadnought looked absolutely amazing, and it's basically going to be having a chain fist and a death claw, and both of them are going to have heavy flamers in them because, hey, why the heck not? Because flamers are pretty awesome to me. I really like flamers, so we'll see how that gets on in the list. Also, moving on for our fast attack, we have 2 javelins, which are going to be armed with mounted multi-melters and 2 hunter-killer missiles each. And then we're going to just have, you know, why not have a giant gunship? Let's have a Storm Eagle assault gunship in there for the kick of things, because, yeah, I just like big things, and Dan just seems to be knocking it out of the park with this list, which I seem to enjoy. And then we have, for the heavy support, the Leviathan. That's right, we're going to take a big boy, because I absolutely love this model as well. One of the reasons I got into Horus Heresy, not just because I was sitting while the guys were doing the podcast and I overheard all that they were talking about and the models were all nice. The Leviathan sold it for me, this game. And it's going to be armed with the siege drill, and oh man, it's just going to be badass, man. I'm super looking forward to playing with that heavy support beast, and it's going to be coming in a Dreadnought drop pod as well, so it can get straight into the action and just destroy things. Oh, it's so good. So while you've watched this list, you could probably have easily paused each part of the slides to check out my full list. But yeah, that was pretty much my list, and that's what I'm building up towards overall with my Horus Heresy. So we're going to get straight back into some hobbying. So, with the list being done, we are going to get straight into some hobby content. Now, the one thing I really loved about Warhammer 40k, that's right, I know it's 30k, but 40k, and just the whole premise of Warhammer, was close combat weapons. And the one thing that I absolutely loved and adored was lightning claws. And that's the first thing I said to Dan was, hey, I want my Terminators to have lightning claws, because I think they're like the most badass, coolest weapons in the whole universe. So all my Terminators pretty much have lightning claws, except for the sergeants, etc. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into me building them, and also we're going to be talking to Dan Porter from Phosphex Party about a tournament, well, let's just say, not the tournament, but a campaign he's running at Leicester Fat Cats, a club I'm part of. And basically it's an open invitation for you guys out there to actually come and join in as well. Because it's going to be running for several months, and it's basically like an introduction to Horus Heresy, starting at 500 points and then increasing. But without further ado, I'll get straight into that interview with Dan, and we're going to put some cool footage over of guys playing games and me building Terminators. Alright guys, so we're here at Leicester Fat Cats. You can probably hear it in the background. Games of Heresy is going strong, and I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Dan Porter. So I can actually now say you're now a fellow podcastee.
Yes, I am. Yes,
I'll let you do a sweet plug. Even though I plugged it on my first episode, okay. I'll let you do the plug to sound professional.
Okay, so we've recently started a Horus Heresy podcast called Phosphex Party. For those of you who are uninitiated, Phosphex is a particular chemical weapon in the Horus Heresy setting. And it just seemed like a good name. Phosphex Party is kind of where we're at. We're probably one of the less serious podcasts, shall we say.
Yeah.
We're perhaps not taking it quite as serious as some of the others. It's definitely more at the bullshit end of the spectrum. But we're having a good time, and it's just something we thought the community maybe might need, actually, a bit of humour in the world.
A bit of humour instead of the serious route of
yeah, because there's plenty of people doing the kind of like the in-depth analysis of rules and stuff like that. There's plenty of people kind of getting into the whys and wherefores of why people play and that kind of thing. We just really wanted to have a bit of fun with it, because we enjoy the Heresy gaming, we enjoy the community, and we just thought people might like to hear us having a laugh, basically.
Cool beans. So the one thing I wanted to talk about in this episode, other than obviously the lovely montage of me finally building my Night Lords, and jumping on, as I believe you called them, Space Murderers.
Space Murderers.
It's easier to say than Night Lords, I guess. But you're starting a campaign at our club.
Yes. So
I wanted to just explain it a little bit for the channel and stuff like that.
So one of the things we wanted to do is get involved in Horus Heresy gaming. If you did it as a full army up front, it's quite a daunting prospect, both financially in terms of effort of just getting it onto the table. So what we wanted to do is give people the opportunity to come and play at lower point levels and do an escalation campaign. I'm sure most of you listeners know what an escalation campaign is. In essence, we're aiming towards an end goal of like 2,500 to 3,000 point armies, which is fairly standard for Horus Heresy gaming. But we're starting really small with 500 points, and at this level, in fact, what we're doing tonight is playing some 500 point games. It's the first night of the campaign. Incidentally, it's called the Balestar Incursion. So my co-host on Phosphex Party, Ross Neil MacArthur, has written some really cool background for this.
Awesome.
But the whole point is to get people playing the game, and with 500 point games, as you can see, people have played like 2 or 3 games tonight.
Yeah, there's been a fair few games tonight.
And that, for a lot of people here, this will be their first exposure to Horus Heresy version 1. as it is now. It's its own rule set. It's different from 8th edition 40k.
Yeah.
Completely different rule set. And it was get people to play small enough games where they can learn the basics without it being too much of an issue. So we're recording results and stuff, but actually it's more to get people playing at this point. So.
Yeah, it's just starting as a campaign. So if anyone watches this and lives in the local Leicester area or is wanting to start, could they join in anything like
Absolutely,
that?
and there's no reason why they can't start at any point either. They don't have to join in at 500 points. They come and join in at 1,000. We don't make any stipulation for being fully painted, but there are extra victory points for a game if your army is fully painted.
Okay.
So you can come and play with the grey plastic, but you're at a disadvantage if somebody's pulled their finger out and got their stuff painted.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So we're currently just starting February. How long will the campaign last? Just if people are going to jump in on it. At any point,
I mean, the first round, if you like, is effectively 6 weeks.
Okay.
So we're going from the 1st of February as it is today, and we're going out to the 16th of March.
Cool.
So in that time frame, people can play as many 500-point games as they like.
Yep.
Register it. I've got a web form, links to a spreadsheet, so people upload their results.
Sweet.
And we'll just keep track of where it is. We've created a page on Facebook as well, so we start to put some stats up there so people can see that kind of stuff as things go.
Cool beans.
So the first round is like 6 weeks. We might extend it out, but on the basis of that, going up in 500-point chunks, we're probably talking about a 3-4 month campaign.
Cool. So if I get my Night Lords sorted, I could jump in.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop you. And we're not restrictive to either about what list people bring. So the stuff you bring to your 500-point list doesn't have to be in your 1,000-point list, doesn't have to be in your 2,000. It's not like you have to build an army in an escalation sense in that sense.
Sweet.
It's more about you've got to. The only stipulation we make is stick to the legion that you start or the army that you started.
Gotcha. So if you're in for, for example, Night Lord, you're in until the end.
Yeah, it's Night Lord.
Etc. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Dan.
No
Look
worries.
forward to the next episode as well.
Yeah.
Always good fun. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
And we're back. And when we're back, we have 3 drop pods. Yes, it feels like I should have a ball underneath them. So, yeah, you know how you have those street merchants where it's like hide the ball and then they move the cups around, etc. Well, where have we put the troop, etc. In these drop pods? You'll never know. You'll never find out. But anyway, we got these done. I did not magnetize them or anything yet. I built them, I sprayed them, and got them all sorted. And the one thing I did do was leave the doors to be to just fall open. So that's one thing I was really happy with the finish of. And yeah, I just sprayed them silver because the majority of it will be silver, and obviously the Candor blue, which is Night Lord's colours effectively. So that's what's going to be happening with those beautiful drop pods. And now we're going to have a look at my finished Terminators. Now you can see right now on the screen, these guys turned out fantastic. I inverted, well, let's just say I flipped the spikes, because normally on Terminators they face forward, but I've decided to put them backwards just because I think it gives them a more dynamic look. And obviously on some of them they've got skulls, some of them they've got bags, which they're going to be painted like they've got bits of like toes and ears and stuff, because Night Lords aren't that nice. And then some of them actually have Dark Angel, let's just say helmets on there, because when I was talking to Ross and the guys from the Phosphex party, they were telling me that Night Lords mainly fought against the Dark Angels, so it was an accidental, honest to God, accidental mistake, but it's actually worked out in my favour, which is great. But the one model I'm really happy with is one of my sergeants. Just looks like an absolute boss. The one thing I like about him, he feels like he's doing like a Hamlet pose with a skull, but instead of a skull, he's using a corpse for a model, which is kind of, well, let's just say it's straight up metal. It's amazing. And yeah, I've done with these guys less is more, because I've seen online with a few people that they've gone all out with loads of flesh and stuff on, and all that bits and bobs on them, and really made them look like porcupines. And I don't want to do that, because when you add more to a model, sometimes it just can make it just look a little bit silly. And I think the little things I've done here have just made them look perfect. So I'm really happy with how they've turned out. So the next episode, guys, is I'm looking forward to it, because I'm actually starting on my troops. Finally, my troops, and also the possibilities of a Contempt to Dreadnought. Yes, that's right. So I went to Forge World for a good friend's birthday, aka Kurt, who's listening to this, and I got some bits and bobs from Forge World to sort stuff out. I basically got some Volkite charges because that's what all my troops are armed with, because you would have heard what they're armed with in the list building part. And also some chain glaives because, hey, who doesn't like murder hockey sticks? Because, yeah, they're incredible. And then the other thing that I picked up, obviously, which is well known for Night Lords, is the dangerous Contemptor Dreadnought with obviously the skull for a face, etc. So I picked up one of them, and I picked up a normal claw and I believe it's an assault claw and a chain fist, because these guys are all about jumping in and just smashing face. So that's what I wanted to do. And yeah, so that's pretty much this episode and a sneak peek of next month's episode. My Horus Heresy is slowly coming to life. I am going to be, next episode, painting drop pods. I'm going to be building marines. And then hopefully by then I will actually have enough points to take part in Dan's campaign at Leicester Fat Cats. So hopefully it will be a good one. So on the screen right now is a thumbnail to take you to the next episode. Also, don't forget to leave a like on this episode and also comment below your thoughts on my progress on my Night Lords. And until next time, guys, take care, have a good one, and yeah, more Night Lords will be coming to this channel very, very soon.